glad to have you here. It's another Wednesday, another opportunity for us to talk about those things that help to keep us healthy spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. I am Carla Youngblood, and of course, you know I love talking on Wednesday about how we can do those things that help us be in health. Just waiting for a few of you to come on, um, check in with you to see how you're doing, what's going on with you, how have you been since the last time we spoke. I have been busy myself between traveling and dealing with this heat here. The last couple of days it's been like 95 degrees. Um, it did rain today, so hopefully we will start experiencing a little cooler temperatures. I have my fan on, so um, you may hear the noise of my fan. But today I wanted to spend some time just talking about mindfulness. As I said, I've been busy the last couple weeks traveling and just just trying to take care of myself, my mental health, my emotional health, spiritual health, and physical health. And when you travel for work, sometimes you have to go when you don't expect to go. And so for 3 weeks straight, I've been traveling, and literally, it has almost taken me 2 weeks to recover. They say when you get older, it takes a little bit more time to recover, and that is a fact. And so, I wanted to talk about mindfulness tonight because what I've been practicing is exactly that. I've been thinking more about how to center myself, how to, um, bring myself back to really allowing my mind to be free of a lot of thoughts and, what's happening in the world, what's happening, with the people that I meet on my travels, or what's happening with the sessions that I may be training on. There's so much that happens in any given day. What's happening with social media, what's happening with my YouTube channel, what's going on with the weather. So many things that we are inundated with on a regular basis. And I realize, thank you to you, those of you who have joined, please like, subscribe, and please share the video. One of the things I realize is that when there's so much going on in life, you have to take time for yourself. You really owe it to yourself to take time and really think about what is it that I can do to make sure that my mental health, my social being, my spiritual being is intact. And for most of us, a lot of times it happens once it's too late, once we've already had to break down, once we need to go to the doctor because we're physically ill, or once, we something happens that forces us to pay attention to what is going on with us. I believe that we don't have to come to the place where we have an emotional breakdown, a physical breakdown. I feel like there are times when we need to pay attention to what is going on with us so that we preempt a breakdown. Uh, I know more and more people that are going through emotional breakdowns. More and more people are getting physically ill. It's because we don't know how to take care of ourselves pre a breakdown, pre-breakdown. Most of us have a breakdown before we realize what was really going on. There are always signs and symptoms of what is happening with us, but most of the time we miss them because we are too busy not paying attention to them or doing something else. I believe there's a way that we can know what is going on with us before we have the breakdown, before, something traumatic happens. There are spaces and places that we can be in when our body is speaking to us, when our mind is speaking to us, and we can actually hear what is going on. For me, I believe that happens when we center ourselves. Um, I've been thinking a lot about lifestyle and what that means. What does it mean when our lifestyle doesn't allow us to pay attention to what is going on with us? What does it say about us when we override what we hear, think, or feel? Our senses have no real place in our lives because we haven't allowed them, we haven't invited them in to a space in our lives where they can speak to us, where they can let us know what is going on. I experience that. I experience, like my body saying, hey, you need to be still. My mind, saying, these thoughts, they're coming too fast. You're thinking too much. You need to slow your mind down. And so this is what brings me to mindfulness. Bringing me to mindfulness is about what can I do. I've been going out, I was walking, doing different things, but I realized exercising in those moments wasn't enough for me. I needed to center my thoughts. I needed to put myself in a space and a place where I could really begin to think about how to still my mind. What would it take for me to still my mind? What did that look like? And for me, what it looked like was really um, getting to a place where I started paying attention to what is happening in the present. A lot of times, because we're so busy, we miss out on what's happening right now because we're either thinking about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. And so when we are not in the present, it's going to be hard for us to recognize what's happening to us in the moment. For me, I realized that in order for me to recognize that and understand what I needed to do, I needed to go down the path of what you do when you need to center yourself. What do you do when you need to stop your mind from racing? That's what I mean when I'm saying center yourself. When for you to get back to the place where you feel like you're breathing properly, or you're paying attention to your breath, or you're paying attention to your heartbeat. A lot of times we are stressed and we don't know it because we don't pay attention to ourselves and what our body is telling us. There are always signs, and a lot of times we miss the signs because we're too busy. We're too busy thinking, we're too busy, going through whatever it is we're going through, people pleasing, all the things that keep us out of sorts with who we are and keep us from being present. I realize that when my mind is racing, and if I don't do something about it, then I'm going to spiral out of control. My mind was racing. I needed to get to a space where I could slow it down. My body couldn't help me because it was being pressured to go, to move, to keep going, to you have to be here, you need to do this, you need to do the other, you have obligations. So it wasn't my physical body that I needed to start with. I needed to start with my mind. I needed to get my thoughts under control. And so one of the ways that I did it and am doing it is simply by breathing, breathing correctly. You know, just taking that time in the morning before I pick up my phone, before I find out what's going on YouTube or any of the other social media outlets, to just sit with myself, to sit with my thoughts, to see what's going on with me, to find out how I'm being impacted by either living in the past or in the future. Just 10 minutes a day in the morning. I saw a YouTube on Diary of a CEO. He had this Buddhist guy on, and he talked about how if for 4 days, for 10 minutes, that you practice breathing, it could change your brain. I was so intrigued by that because I'm always intrigued by things that tell me that I can change something about myself, neuroplasticity. So it made me even more engaged in the process of being mindful. One thing I know for sure is when you decide to go down a certain path, there will be things that will come along to help you on that path, that will show you the benefits that could be obtained for you if you take this particular path. And so, because I had been thinking that way, I had start coming across things that helped me on the journey that I wanted to get myself on. So it became easier for me because I started thinking differently. I started picking up a book and reading, doing something that I hadn't been able to do, because now I'm engaging in my life in a different way. I'm not allowing the obligations, I'm not allowing those things that I had to do or needed to do to stop me from doing what I needed to do for myself. The best of us get caught up in what happens in a given day. We get caught up in life. I don't care, how much you meditate, pay attention, or whatever. We can all get caught up in that place where we really need to just slow down, get present, and really listen to what life is trying to tell us about ourselves. The messaging that I needed was for me. It wasn't for anybody else. It was what I needed to do for me. I needed to stop feeling stressed because I was tired, or because, whatever the other things were, they only added to it. Because when the physical body is tired, everything else kind of follows that same way. You don't sleep well, you're not in your bed, you're doing all kinds of other things, you're not at home eating properly, and I love what I get to do. But there are times when what I do, if it's not coupled with me taking care of myself the way I need to, it can weigh against me. So even in the things that we love, those things can weigh against us because We can't love anything more than we love ourselves. It'll show up in your life. And this is really why I do what I do as it relates to self-care and living a lifestyle that is conducive to you taking care of yourself, that it has to be a part of your journey, that it can't be something you do, when you have a breakdown. It has to be something that is so built into your life that if I don't stop now, breakdown is imminent. And so, how do we build into our lives those things that we need when life is moving fast, when life is lifing, as they say? I believe that if you consciously have built into your life that you need to take care of yourself, that rest is important, that your body will signal to you that, okay, you're sleeping in a bed, but you're not really resting. And so then you begin to seek rest. You begin to open yourself up for possibilities where rest can enter into your sphere. And so for me, it was like I needed to pay attention to what was going on. I needed to rest my mind so my body could rest. Say my body was out of sync. It was out of sync because you know what? I'm sleeping in different beds. I'm traveling from city to city, meeting all kinds of people, in all different types of airports, all different types of airplanes. You don't know what's going on with people physically, or people sick, or trying to keep yourself healthy. And it's a lot. And so you have to take care of yourself. That responsibility is no one else's but yours. I don't expect my job to say, oh, hey, Carly, you need rest? No, I don't expect them to say that. I expect that they want me to do my job. And I expect that it's on me to decide how I do that job, by taking care of my mental health, by taking care of my physical health, and by making sure that I'm paying attention to the signs that become obvious to me. I don't want to hit my head against a wall to realize that I am not in optimal health, that my mental state is not in an optimal place, that I'm not able to give what I should or could because I need to give that to myself. So, what do you do when you get to that place? You have to find a way to make sure that you are always in a space where there is something that you can do to remind yourself that you need to take care of yourself. So for me, it was deep breathing. It was focusing. It was, how can I hone in on being present? What is in the room that I can focus on to let me know that I am in this space? That I'm not in the space of the 60,000 thoughts that are running through our head on a regular basis in our mind. How do you slow it down? What can you do to become present? What you can do right now where you are. Do some deep breathing. I know it doesn't make sense, it doesn't, but I promise you, if you can breathe, because what I also found was that I had entered into a place of shallow breathing. You know how I realized it? Because I would have to take a deep breath. I had entered into shallow breathing. So I had to refocus on my breath, on getting more oxygen into my lungs. There are things that we can do to keep ourselves from spiraling, but only if we pay attention to the signs that are there to let us know if you don't do something, you're going to spiral. Sometimes we don't do anything and we spiral. We always have the choice of whether or not we spiral out. It's on us to decide. Do I want to keep going down the road when I've already received the sign that, hey, you know, you're not breathing properly, your body's out of sync, you know, am I going to pay attention to the sign or am I going to just keep going? So one day I went and had a massage because I love doing that. I normally go for 60 minutes, but because I know I needed a little extra, I went for 90 minutes instead. I was talking to this one friend. She was like, why don't you do 90 minutes or 2 hours? You thank me later. And you know what? That extra time, I owed it to myself because instead of 60 minutes where I was focusing on me, I had 90 minutes of focusing on me. And then I allowed someone else to take care of my physical body while I'm able to just rest my mind. There's work that we have to do to take care of ourselves. It is. I don't care. I said earlier, even if you're doing things that you love, the things that you love can be stressful. The things that you want more than anything else, we always talk about being passionate about certain things. Your passion can stress you out. The thing that you love the most right now can bring you stress because it comes with a lot of stuff. And a lot of stuff sometimes we're not aware of or we're not prepared for, but yet and still it brings that to us. And so if we're not paying attention, we fall into the trap of it. I want you to know that the first sign that you get that something's not right, pay attention to it. Your mind, your body is trying to tell you something. Your spirit is trying to tell you something. Your emotions are trying to tell you something. Take the time. I don't care what's going on around you, take the time. If I don't take the time, I could end up in the hospital having a panic attack, having anxiety. Those are the pathways that exist for us when our body gets out of whack, when our body is overwhelmed, when our mind is overwhelmed. You know, when we don't pay attention, the next time could be that we're in the hospital, we're in the emergency room. I work in healthcare. We're in the emergency room because I'm not eating properly, I'm not drinking enough water. The simple things go out the window when you're stressed. They go out the window. You don't even remember. You can't eat. I've had people say, I can't eat because they're stressed. Stress is getting the best of them and they can't eat. So you go enough days without eating and without drinking water, you could end up in the hospital, at the emergency room, and having heart palpitations, thinking you're having a heart attack, and it's just anxiety is stress, because when your body was saying to you, you need rest, or you're not resting, or you're not, you need to change your thought pattern, you didn't recognize it the first couple times it told you, until it had to put you in the hospital. Now you're like, oh my God, I don't want those experiences. I want to experience a lifestyle that I know is going to be filled with stress. It's going to have moments where I'm not going to always, think the right thought in the moment. But if I can think a thought that keeps me present, it really will help me. If you can think in those moments where you're feeling stress, if you can think a thought that helps you to be present, simple thought. Name 3 things that are in your room right now. You know what that does? That causes you to pay attention to your present. Check in with your breath right now. Are you breathing deeply, or are you shallow breathing? These are all signs that is trying to tell you where you are. But there are simple things that we can do to make sure that we remain present, that we don't get ahead of ourselves, that we're not looking back to what happened yesterday. When I got present, I realized, one of the ways that I can deal with, this stress I'm feeling in my shoulders, because that's where it's for me, it's my shoulders. I can go and have a massage. I can let someone work on that for me. I can let them focus on, getting my body in sync. And I can get my mind in sync. But if I'm so stressed that I don't think about, or I can't think about, what I could do for my body, it's going to continue to lead me down the road where the only way I'm going to think about my body is when it breaks down. I want us to be more conscious. You can be more conscious of what is going on with you right now. Don't believe you have to have a breakdown, because you don't. You don't have to have a breakdown. You can have a breakthrough. And a breakthrough is recognizing where you are in your present. How are you feeling right now? Honor what you're feeling. Pay attention to that. It's trying to tell you something. If you move beyond it, you're going to miss it until the next time around when it tries to tell you again. Our body's always trying to tell us something. Our mind is always trying to tell us something. Our spirit is always trying to tell us something. But are we always listening? I want us to have tools. I want you to have tools that you can use. When you walk away from this, listening to this, you'll know, I can sit in a space and I can just take deep breaths. They say 5 to 8 second counts. 5 to 8 breathing in, 5 to 8 breathing out. I can pay attention to what is in the room. I can look around and see 3 things in my room right now. What that does is that brings me to the present. Stress is always trying to get us to see what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow. But I promise you, when you get present, there is something about the present that always makes me feel like I am not in this alone. there's an answer. There's a way out. There's hope. It's only in the present where those things for me exist, because in the past we never see the past correctly and we never see the future correctly. The only thing that we have the best bet of seeing correctly is our present. And so if you can focus on your present, if you can think about, those of you who are listening right now, if you can think about how it is you're feeling, what are you feeling? There's so much going on. What are you feeling? Can you tap into that feeling? And then can you allow the thought to be in your mind around embracing what it means to either embrace that feeling or to think some different? Real talk. It makes a difference. It really does. And it's critical to know that everybody's not there, and it's okay. You can be there. You can be in a healthy place of thinking and being. It doesn't require participation from others. It really doesn't. What it does require is for you to know that you can make the difference in your own life. You can. You can make the difference in your own life. You are the only one who can. When you make that difference, others will know, because they'll see you from that light. They'll see you from that perspective. Life is beautiful. It is wonderful. There is so much that life has to offer us. And it requires that we be a participant in our own lives. One of the things that I'll say to my coaching clients is that you have to be a participant in your own life. You do. You have to be a participant in your own life. You can be. It's just being present. It's just paying attention. It's just making sure that you do what is needed for you. That's all it takes. It's very easy when we get present. It's very easy when we make the conscious decision, when we understand that life is real. There are real consequences to life. And I'm not talking about just negative. There are consequences to everything that we do, good and bad. But I believe, I have hope. I believe that there is more to life that is better than it is worse, that there is more positivity than there is negativity. And the reason I believe is because, as the guy said, 4 days it takes, 10 minutes a day, deep breathing. You can change your brain, neuroplasticity. So I don't believe that people can't change. I believe people don't choose to change. Because change is a choice. We all get to make that choice every day. If you stayed this long, please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who could be blessed by it. I want to be, for this community, the person who raises the banner of hope, belief in the good in others. That's me. If you want negativity, you have to go someplace else, because that's not what I do. I believe that humanity really wants the best. And sometimes we allow the voices of those who don't care about the best or being the best sound the loudest. But to be honest with you, those are people who need the most help. But you can't help them unless you help yourself. Helping yourself means being present, paying attention to what is going on with you, practicing mindfulness, meditating, reading a book, journaling. So in addition to me setting this goal for myself of, mindfulness, deep breathing, I'm journaling for the next 21 days. Because I believe there's something in my life that it's going to take this for me to get there. I don't want to be status quo. I'm not your regular person. Neither are you. But the only way that you become anything more than that is you have to do more than that. You have to show up for yourself. And when you show up for yourself, other people will be drawn to you. I made a video, and I think I'll post it later this week, about numbers, and we're always thinking about numbers on YouTube and how many followers on social media, this, that, and the other. And one of the things I said is, if one person follows you or subscribes to your channel and hears something that you say, and that one person takes that and they become a person who shares it with hundreds of thousands of people, that's the difference that you've made, because you spoke to that one person. I never look beyond the one person. I'm happy for those of you who like and who are subscribed to this channel. I believe that as I'm finding my own voice in this process on this channel, that as I become more clear about what it is I want to do and who I am speaking to, all of those things will naturally fall in place. So, I'm a creative, I design things. I like making things out of using jewelry, denim products. And I know that the first time you design something, you don't always get it right. But if you keep working at it, eventually it'll become that masterpiece and everybody will want it. But when it becomes the masterpiece, you know what? It becomes a little bit more rare. It becomes a little bit harder to get it. It'll cost you a little bit more. Work on being the masterpiece in your life. That's what is possible for all of us, is truly being the best that we can be. When you're the best that you can be, the people connected to you will be the same, because anything less than that, you'll repel. You'll start drawing people to yourself that are like how you are. Thank you for those of you who tuned in. I knew I wasn't going to stay on here long. It is still hot here, but I want to get back into coming here on a regular basis. You know, that's another thing that I've missed. Haven't been able to be consistent on here, but I've tried to come on as much as I could. But I can't tell you the importance of taking care of yourself if I don't do the same. I'll show you better than I can tell you. Please like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you're enjoying what we're doing here. I appreciate you all so dearly. Thank you for being a part of this community. I love when I get to come on live. You know, I try to stay on for as long as I can with you guys. And I want to get back into, on a regular basis, being live here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. To those of you who may come across the video later, please consider subscribing to our channel, liking. Have an amazing day, everyone, and I will talk to you again soon.